JP Money. This is the Outside Gate with Steve Hall on the L4 Media Network, where we talk US moto and anywhere the conversation goes. So I wanted to start doing some shows with women from moto. The type of ladies that I told my daughter since she was little that they are good role models, and I'll get her to follow them and that sort of thing. And so, who better to start doing those type of shows than with seven-time national champion Jessica Patterson? How are you?
I'm doing good. Just another day trying to recover a little bit. It's been a big week, but it's I'm excited to be on the show. I appreciate it.
No worries at all. So I know we've been messaging trying to organise a time and that sort of thing. You've been pretty flat out. So obviously you, a lot of people know that you are one of the owners of Next Level 101 and of Travelers Rest Speedway nowadays. And you've had some action there. You had some races going on, that sort of thing. So what's the last few days look like?
Yeah, we have a facility that's like full-time training, and we got kids over here that are looking to get better, or even here to maybe become that next guy, and or girl, either or. But we have full time training. So, like, we did Monday, Tuesday full time. We actually had a practice at our other facility that's about 45 minutes away on Tuesday night. And then last night, which was Wednesday, we had a race at our facility there, which we do. We started it about 4 years ago now. This will be our fourth year, and we did just kind of a first started off to just kind of be like a little practice gig, and then we said, hey, what if we add some like intensity and maybe a couple little gate drops on a Wednesday night and see how it goes with like limited classes. And we started out and we shot for it and it went good. And the next thing you know, it's last night was the first round of our series. We call it the summer school series, and it's obviously in the summer, and a lot of the kids are out for school and stuff too, so that makes it a little bit easier for them to be able to come and spend a little bit later than a normal nighttime, bedtime for them. So
Hmm.
uh, last night was the first round, and it was one of our biggest ones yet. It was a little much, but it was good. It all went really well, and so a lot of our guys from over here at the facility went over there to get some different kind of gate drops, a little bit of a night race type deal, so a little bit tighter course, but we mix it up, and then we're back to doing training today and tomorrow, and just try to keep the ball rolling around here. That's all.
Yeah, it seems like you enjoy it though. Good fun. Busy, but good fun.
Yeah, it is. And we actually at our other facility too, we do dirt car racing. So we do that on Friday nights. So between the training, the racing now on Wednesday nights, we also do racing, but dirt cars on Friday nights. So we have a mixture of everything going on. But yeah, you're right. I keep full out and wide open with it all.
Yeah. How did you get into what's the link to the car racing? Is that something you just sort of fell into, or is that something from your family or Eddie's family?
Oh no, it literally just fell into our laps kind of when I was racing in my last 2 years of my contract with Yamaha. They're like, okay, what do you want to do? Because I said I'm kind of done. I think I want to do something different to finish out my last 2 years and whatever. And they said, well, why don't you try to go to this town called Travelers Rest, and we have an off road team based out of there, and you could do some GNCC events and off road, whatever you want to do there, and give it a shot, see what you think. And I did the first few rounds, and I was like, oh, I was pretty hooked. I thought it was fun, just something different, challenging. I wasn't the best at it, so I think that's what kind of really drove me towards it. And so I did all that, and 2 years went by, and I kind of sat on the couch a little bit, just did whatever, just random stuff. I started training kids here and there. I've always had a good bit of interest in people asking me about training. So um, I did that a little bit. So there's actually a guy that lived in our area that was building a track literally 4 miles away. from my house at that point, and he just kind of asked me to put the input, and he's like, I'm leasing it from this race car track, and da da da, and so I did some training there. But then next thing you know, that guy said, you know what, I think the one guy wanted out, the next guy was coming in, but he wanted the motocross track to go away, and I was like, well, we've just spent all this time and money to get this place going. Now what are we going to do? And the actual owner of the property was like, well, would you be interested in it? He goes, but it's mandatory that you do at least 6 dirt car races a year to keep us grandfathered into the new rules and whatever, that's going around for, times update. So
Mm.
it was that we had to keep 6 car races in a year. And but me and Eddie were like, well, we have no clue about it. Eddie's dabbled in it a little bit. I had no idea about dirt cars. I couldn't tell you from one from the other at the time. And we actually ghosted the people for like 3 weeks, 3 different weekends. And we actually went to did Loretta's, and we had to make a choice when we got back. We said, we had to either be in or out, is one or the other at that point. So we were either going to lose the motocross, or we were going to just be back to square one of figuring out what to do with our lives at that point. And we were driving back from Loretta's that night, and I told Eddie, as we were talking about it, I said, you know what? We both don't really have much to do at this point. I said, it would be a new challenge, and I think we could figure it out. We'll be able to keep. I said we can at least do 6 car races. We can figure that out, and we'll still have our motocross place. We'll still have the track. So that's what obviously mattered the most to us. And next thing you know, we were riding, and I said, "Screw it, let's go for it. Let's challenge ourselves and see what happens." And it's been 7 years later. So now we run 26 car races a year. We have about 3 different other events that we flat out like rent out to other companies for the year. And then we also do about 10 different motocross races there. So that place is still full on too.
That's awesome. It's awesome. I love the I love obviously I love moto, and I love anything to do with anything to do with motorsport. But I also love the success story in that that you were unsure, and then you gave it a red hot go, and it's really working out for you. That's super cool, super cool.
Yeah, it was like I said, I was actually really nervous. And I will say that these people here, they definitely push your buttons. And I've learned to I've always kind of been like the quieter one and whatnot, but they've really pulled me out of my shell, and I've learned how to be like a boss now, because it's like you got to learn how to rule things and run things. And Eddie gets the track running, gets the cars going, gets all that, and I do literally everything else, and I keep the ball rolling. How I just figured it out. Yeah, I did, but I think too, in a way, it kind of toughened me up too for my training side, and everything kind of just rolled together, because now, like, those guys made me tougher because they're just so, car guys are a different breed. They're a different breed of character, but uh, toughened me up.
Yeah, the car guys would be they'd be all just cowboys. Yeah.
Like we call them rednecks around here. They're big rednecks, and they love to fight and drink, but they love racing too. So it kind of all comes in together as one, but they keep you on your toes for sure. But it's not too bad. They've kind of I think at first they weren't too sure about us being, the kids, the younger of the new promoters coming into that area, and it's something different, and they just weren't really sure about us. And they're
Mm.
like, these are gonna last, and like I said, here we are still standing strong. So they've kind of earned some respect, I think, around here.
Yeah, it's awesome. It blows me away, and I'm always very envious of the amount of racing that happens in the states. Or in certain parts. Certainly where you are in North Carolina, no, North or South Carolina. Okay,
South.
yeah, South Carolina, yeah, yeah, cool. and then obviously in California, and then in there's spots in Texas and that where there's all this racing, and it's like, whereas here, like, I'm hanging out to get to ride a motocross track that I don't have to drive, like do a 6 hour round trip to, and I'm like hanging out like I haven't. I'm a C grader. I'm a shitty rider, but I just love cutting laps and that sort of thing. And I haven't actually hit a jump for like 6 months, just because I haven't had one to hit, like other than like a levee bank out the bush, So yeah, I'm
Yeah.
always envious of all the racing and that sort of thing that goes on. Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Jessica, so we might get into we might start getting into your career. So my favourite part of the show is always the question of when did the bug bite, and so when did a little JP first see a mini bike or ride one, or yeah, when did that happen for you?
Well, actually, my dad and I think even his father back in the day, they rode. It wasn't anything, like we have anymore, but they just did kind of, local get-togethers, whatever. Well, regardless, my dad had a bike when ever since I was a kid, and I've always been, I guess, somewhat of a tomboy too. At that point, my dad had me on everything that was motorized. If it moved, I was on it. So um, I was always kind of outgoing with that. I was like driving or riding, whatever. So um, I think it was about 7 years old. I asked my dad, I was like, when can I get my own bike? Because I said, I'm tired of riding with you. So I was ready for my own bike. And I actually got this Yamaha Fat Wheel 80. It was like a PW or something 80. It was a big fat wheel bike. And I got that first and I rode the crap out of it. My dad said, okay, I think we're going to get you actually a real bike and see how it works. And um, I think at that point I was almost 9 years old, and we actually found out because I'm from Tallahassee, so Florida. Um, my father and Ricky Carmichael's dad are both electricians, and my dad was a lineman for the city. So they ended up. My dad seen Big Rick, and he goes, seen he must have had a hat or something on. I said, "Oh, hey, you race or something about dirt bikes?" And he's like, "Oh, well, my son races," and they had actually just moved up to Tallahassee at the point. And so then, next thing you know, they started talking. They're like, hey, do you want to come watch a race? And they said there's one locally, and race actually, and watched them. And I was like, at the time too, Ricky gave me a trophy, and it was just about as tall as me. And I was like, this is sick. I was like, I want to race. I want to get these trophies. And again, I was just always competitive, anyways. And I just started riding, and uh, I would actually, I was pretty big into soccer too at the time. So I played soccer for school, and I was just something. So I'd play soccer on Saturdays, race on Sundays. And next thing you know, it became where I got a little better, nothing great. And my parents were like, you're going to have to choose one or the other. It's getting hard to do these soccer games because then I was getting ready for travel also. So I was doing Fridays, Saturdays, and then dirt bikes on Sundays. They said, you're gonna have to figure out one or the other. And of course, my parents were ready for me to do soccer, to have maybe a career, school and college, have all that normal deal, And so my parents would say, no, I want to race dirt bikes. I don't want to play soccer. And my mom was like, what? Like, are you kidding me? Like, you're good at it. Like, you get a scholarship, da da da. And I'm like, nah. And again, at the time, I wasn't even that great. I was decent, but I was not good. And I've said, I don't know. I just don't want to play. I'd rather race instead of play soccer. So the next thing you know, my dad's all for it. He's like, all right, no problem. But he's a grinder. He said, if this is what you want, you got to put in the effort. So, of course, knowing Ricky and stuff, he's like, we got to do what they do. Got to train this and that. And I'm like, okay. And things just progressively got better and better. And then I was about 15, um, and I started to get pretty decent. At the time, they just had a women's class that was just just women's. There was no little bikes. There was no big bikes. It was pretty much run what you brung, and if you're a
Mm.
woman, you no matter your age or anything, So I was always the younger one on a smaller bike, and it just kind of, like I said, I just always drove to try to be the best, or at least be as good as I could and close as I could to be with some of the best girls at that time. And like I said, it just kind of rolled at that point, and I just got decent. And yeah, it's kind of crazy if you think about it. I just always sometimes think like, what made me choose that at the time? Like, what made me say no? I want to race dirt bikes and not pursue my soccer scholarships and stuff. Like, why? But man, I'm so grateful I did, because I know I would not be anywhere in the world that I have been, or that I have been, or even where I'm at now, if I would have went the other direction. There's no way.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. Well, the moto world is glad that you didn't made that choice anyway. That's for sure. Do you remember your first? Do you remember your first trip to? Oh, not even just Loretta's. Your first trip to a big sort of amateur national. Do you remember that?
I actually do. I couldn't tell you the exact track, but I know we were in Texas, and I was on a KX85 at the time. And I don't know how far back people know, but there was like Christy Sheely, Dee Wood, Amber Hughes, those type of girls that were like the badass girls back then. And it was like I came up, and I had to race them, and it was like it was like a national at the time for them, and it was like I just remember, I don't know why either, but I just remember like, wow, I can't believe this is happening. Like, I'm on race with these girls. And again, at the time I was mediocre, but I remember the first time I actually did pretty well and raced them in Texas was at another national. Again, I just gotten on a KX100. Then I moved up to KX100, and I raced them, and I think I actually got third that.
Do you remember? Do you remember your first like your first time at Loretta's?
I don't remember it tons, but I knew it was in 1995. That's the first year I raced Loretta. Um, I'm pretty sure that was a year it also had a massive downstorm, like poured rain. And I was just like, what is going on? Like, it was crazy. I think even at that time they had to cut part of the track. I'm pretty sure that was the same year. I've been there actually a couple of times when it's done that, but 95 was my first year. Again, I was on the KX100. I could not tell you what I placed. I do not remember any of that. But I knew, so my first year was in 95, and then in 1999 was the first year that I won the championship. So I was on a 125 at that point, and I had to beat a girl at the time that came over from Italy, Steffi Bell, and I remember that championship very well.
Yeah, I remember Steffi Bow. Yeah, 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 she would have been. So I thought I think of her as older than you, but yeah, that's surprising that she was in your age group. Yeah,
She
yeah,
is a little bit time. I was almost 15 years old. I was about to be, because August was Loretta's. I was going to be 16 in September, and so the plan was is to race there at Loretta's, and then I was going to do my first WMX at Broome Tioga. I guess it was like a couple weeks or a week later or something like that. So, but yeah, she was a little bit older. She was, the one to be. It was this hot new, chick coming in that smoked like everybody at one point, and she was very good. But um, I don't know. It was just obviously another new challenge for me, and I was ready for it. So it's pretty cool.
yeah, absolutely. That would have been a fun trip home after that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, it I think the more exciting thing was, we went into the second. We were in second motos, or we went into the third moto tied actually. And so it was whoever won, and it was her and I first and second battling like typical women stuff. You battled the whole time. It feels like even to this day, I feel like a lot of these chicks, they battle down from the beginning to the end. And I remember you go down, like there's like now probably people know there's a big sweeper like around the little lake they have, and you turn and come back towards the finish line. And at the time it was kind of a little bit more trees and kind of scenic. And we were battling last, like the checker flags right on the other side waving. And I just went for a dive bomb pretty much. We go down into that corner. She kind of goes out. Like I think we both went a little too hot. She somewhat missed her line, and I went straight in and like pushed her off the track. And she almost like went into that fence right there. And next thing you know, I crossed the finish line. And yeah, that was my first one. And I was like, oh my god, I can't believe it. So the ride home was pretty good. I was hyped on that. And that obviously at the time, like I said, I was about 16, and I was hyped going into my first pro races too. So
Hmm. What did the kids at school think about you being a motocross chick? Like that would have been pretty. I guess it's still unusual for girls at school that are a
uh,
motocross chick. Yeah, yeah. What did they think? They must have thought it was pretty cool. I'd say.
I think again, I don't think they thought it was super cool, but at the time, even to this day, if you hear like, oh yeah, I used to race, and you get normal people, they're like, oh, like how high you jump, or do you do tricks, or
Yeah.
that they don't really understand, I don't think. But
Mm.
then a couple see me, and or then even at the time we were like on Mav TV and stuff like that, and be like, oh my god, I just saw you on TV. And you get a little bit like, I didn't know you do that. Like, it's kind of cool. I think you get a little bit more respect when they actually see what it's about, opposed to hearing about it. So yeah, it's definitely, they're like, oh, you race dirt bikes, whatever. But then when they see it, they're like, oh crap.
Yeah, that reminds me that Damon Huffman had a similar thing where he was pretty quiet kid at school, and he wins Anaheim 125s and comes back to school, and he's like, there was teachers and kids and everyone in the crowd, and they're like, oh, and it gave him a bit of street cred, like all of a sudden. Yeah, that is cool. But yeah, I get what you mean. A lot of people don't understand, how fast do you go is the real one that you get in it. Yeah.
Yeah, especially being a girl, they're like all chicks, the typical girl thought people think when they say they play something or drive a car, whatever it may be, especially ride dirt bikes. Like, oh, but then you see it, like you said, maybe you get a little extra street cred.
Yeah, yeah. That's it. When you like growing up, or actually any time where you hit up a practice track and that sort of thing, you must have got sick of the dudes that had to try and beat you. Did that drive you crazy?
I mean, it was. Uh, I seen some dads put some hurt on some little boys. I'd feel so bad, like almost want to beat the hell out of the kids. But they were like, "You can't believe you let that girl beat you," and like be super pissed. But I mean, at the same time, I felt bad. I was like, "Haha," like sorry, like just what it is. And one person that we actually joke with a good bit today is Brian Johnson. And he does a lot of the training over at MTF and whatnot. And he's a really good friend of ours. But he was one kid that I would beat sometimes, and I remember his dad would beat the crap out of him for. He's like, I can't believe you let that chick beat you. But it was we still kind of joke about it time to time. But I remember like when we became friends after that time, I was like, I can't believe your dad would beat you like that. over a girl beating you. So, but yeah, it became normal. Like even honestly to this day, like if I was probably to get on a track, that somebody would jump in just to see if they could beat you, or like, oh, let's really see what this hype's about. You know what I mean? It was no matter what, it was always a race. If I was out there, you were racing somebody.
Yeah, it really says something about that bloke. I think that, that if he needs to do that, I got a story like you might have heard of Emma Milicevic, who is one of our top women's races over here, and she's done she's been raced in Europe and that sort of thing. She's won the Aussie title several times, and my favourite track, which this is one of the ones I'm waiting to reopen. I was there just cutting laps on my vintage bike and that sort of thing there one day, and I seen this this bike that looked like a factory Honda, and I'm like, geez, that looks cool. They've done the stickers just right. And it looks just like the race bikes.
Yeah.
And then the next minute it goes jumping over my head, and I read the name on the back, and it's Emma. She's just decided to come to a different track, and she's actually just there having a fun day with her dad and doing some practice. And I was like, wow, that is a factory Honda, and that sort of thing. And she's cutting laps. So I just thought it was cool. And then the next session, it was just a practice day. The next session, there's three young blokes waiting at the gates for her to come out. And as soon as she took off, they're all following her and they're racing her. And I'm like, dudes, come on. And one guy in particular, every single session he did that, followed her every single session, and he couldn't pass her. And then in the last session of the day, this was like probably the highlight of this wanker's life. The last session of the day, he like block passes her, and his friends are actually cheering. And I remember saying that, and I was just like, dude, you are so lame, dude. Like, seriously, she's having a fun day with her dad, and she's doing practice laps, and is this like the highlight of your life because you pass someone on a practice day? It's just, and it was I couldn't believe these young blokes. It's like, dude, like I just think it's freaking awesome. Like, I've been passed by girls a lot because I'm slow. Like it's I think it's fantastic. But even like I've been off road races where I'm one of the slow clubmen, and the ladies, the off road races we do here, the ladies class goes off just before the slow old blokes go off. So I've done lots of racing with the girls, and they usually beat me anyway. So it's just cool, hey. Like and like my daughter rides, and she just trail rides. She's very careful. She's not going to be a racer, but yeah, it's cool. It's cool. Let's get into your starting into your pro career, I guess. So, yeah, I know your first championship was 2000, but was just tell us about the start of your pro career.
Well, I actually had to at the time I right after I'd won that Loretta's championship, I got a ride with Team Green, and so I started to race a good bit, and I was right in the middle of we always say grade 10 or however y'all say it, but I was in 10th grade at the time, and it got to where I had to fly back and forth to California, and I had a bunch of contract obligations at the time, and it became to where I had to become homeschooled. So my parents were like, well, if this is what you're going to do, again, my dad was like, you're a hard worker. So the harder you work, the better you'll be. And obviously I still agree to that. But, I was always strong minded. So I said, no problem. And, I was homeschooled. So the next thing you know, I'm pretty much at the time moved to California. And I'm back and forth to Tallahassee at times and doing training still back home. But, again, just filling out my obligations at Kawasaki, and I did a good bit there and won some championships, and then as time went, I moved to Honda, and I rode for Honda of Houston, and actually Honda for a little bit, and then at one point I couldn't tell you exact year, but that's when Ashley Filick has started to come along. And also, that's when the women's was getting a little bit more recognition, and the factory rides were starting to come into place. I want to say like around 2008 or 9. And uh, like I said, I rode for Honda for a bit, and then, dealing with some stuff that I dealt with, and I started to get my butt whooped here and there. Not all the time, but she was a little thing on a big bike with a lot of power, and that's when too factory Honda was picking up girls, Yamaha, everybody else was all the teams were starting to get chicks, and in 2010 is when I feel like it was like the biggest of them all. And I actually was still riding for Honda of Houston, and they were actually doing a deal with Ryan Hughes at the time. Well, Rhino and Honda Houston started talking because I was like, you know what, I need to do something. I'm not going to go into 2010 and lose. I'm not doing it. I need to figure it out. And they actually talked back and forth, and then, I'm moving out to California. So I move out to California, and I'm training with Rhino full time. And I won't forget the first day I showed up there, and like it was just it was such a shock, like just everything that like I had to do and change and this and that. And the first time he seen me ride, he goes, "How did you even win races riding like that?" I remember that clear as day. Him like, "You won races riding like that?" And I was like, "Yeah." And like I just will never forget that. And I think that's why when I was there and I said, "I'm here to do whatever I need to do because I need to win." And that stuck in my head, and I was like, I'm making changes. So, um, 2010 was the biggest thing, memory wise for me. Just everything changed. Meaning, I wasn't going to go in losing. I had a few injuries prior to. Also, I tore my ACL twice. Like I literally tore it, and I came back and I tore it literally the first day back on my bike. There's a couple of just stupid injuries, and but like I said, I was mentally strong enough that I was like, I'm going into 2010 and I'm gonna win, And I said I'll do whatever. And again, we moved to California, moved to Rhinos, and I did everything to the T. And at that point, I hadn't lost one race. So in 2010, I think maybe I lost two, maybe the whole year. And that really kicked off I want to say that rejuvenated my whole career again, was in 2010 when I did that. And then it became a point again where it was the tension was getting high in the Honda truck with her and I both in there. And it became to where I was ready to do something different. Actually, I rode for Factory Connection. She rode for Ashley rode for Factory Honda, and I was riding for Factory Connection. And Ziggy and those guys had helped me tremendously. They did whatever I needed, and I mean those guys are still amazing to me. And it became a point, honestly, where now Honda told them, listen, you're going to have to do something different because we can't be helping both of them. It's causing too much tension, too much drama, because they're hearing from one side, and then they have the amateur satellite team beating the factory team now. So it became, a little bit much. And um, I don't know. I just reached out to Yamaha because I just said, you know what? I didn't want to cause more crap for, Honda and Factory Connection at the time had way bigger things to deal with than women's racing. So, I was like, it's no big deal. No hard feelings with me and Ziggy. We talked it out. We worked things out. And he said, well, whatever you decide to do, if you need help, I'll help you. And I happened to reach out to Yamaha. And at the time, we were friends with we knew Bobby Reagan and stuff from Star Racing, and I knew some of the Yamaha guys because there had been talk before with Yamaha about me riding them. And I said I reached out and I said, hey, I'm interested in coming. And at the time they actually had a couple of chicks. I think they had Sarah Whitmore at the time was, I think, their biggest one. And I was trying to come in and get some support. And I actually talked to Bobby Reagan also, and he's like, well, if Yamaha will let me do it, then maybe. And again, that was kind of a iffy thing at the time. And um, honestly, the first time I had to buy my bikes, they said, we'll give you a deal, but we don't know right now. They really couldn't commit to giving me anything. And so I had to buy my bikes from Yamaha, and Star was going to help me best that they could. And by the first round that year, I had won everything. And second round, we went to Hangtown. I won again, and then after that, the Yamaha stuff just started flooding in. I just started. It was full on. Yamaha was on board. Star was already on board before me. Like I said, me and Bobby Reagan and Eddie, we were all friends kind of before that anyway. So you know, they were on board, and like I said, I've kind of been part of the Star family since.
Awesome, awesome. So in the years like that when you know your four peat, um, that was the series not sort of as as big and well promoted in those days as it was when you know in that sort of 9, 10, 11 period.
Um, I don't think so. I don't like the manufacturer wise. I believe wasn't behind it as much. Um, it was like, okay, we have chicks racing. It's just whatever type of deal, you know. I think the manufacturers really wanted to make a push, and so did MX Sports at the time because they seen so much talent coming through that I think it was like, okay, it's time to maybe showcase these women a little bit more and opposed from racing more on an amateur day or an amateur race, like why don't we try to bring them into actually the pro racing? And then obviously being with the pro racing, it was easier for the teams to be involved because then it was all going to happen at the same time. You know, they were already going to be there. They can bring your bikes. It was more of a realistic pro type deal that you're able to get because it was all in one show now and not here or there or at an amateur race or whatever it may be at the time. And then, you know, when that happened, one team got on board, the next, you know, and then it was just made to be like who was going to be on what team. Every team had to have at least one girl. So that was really cool. I think, like I said, I think when they realized we were going to get the TV package at the time, the racing was really good. Um, the teams were involved that everybody was really on board with it. And I think that's why it pumped up to be as big as it did. And even money wise, the money became well. You're even getting paid bigger by your sponsors, manufacturers, whatever it may be. So that became bigger also.
Yeah, cool, cool. It sort of got the same feels of what's happening in Australia at the moment. Just in, you know, we've always obviously had women's national champions and that sort of thing, but in recent times, you know, they're even the girls are only doing half. They only do half the series. So our outdoors is 8 rounds. The girls do 4. And but you know they don't get on the main broadcast, but they get on the live stream broadcast where so you know it's sort of it seems to be gathering a bit of momentum. You know, we've got a couple of young girls that are really fast and you know, and also too there's we've got a TV show that's been that covers all sorts of motorsport, and the girls have been getting on that on one of the main stations and getting interviewed and that sort of thing. So yeah, seems to be sort of growing a bit. That when I think when it's you know really gets attached to the national series, that seems to make a big difference. Yeah.
Thing does. I think, like I said, that's the biggest thing. Broadcast or whatever it may be, even though it's maybe not the main shows, it's starting to get out there and it's starting to attract more and more attention. And like I said, being attached to the Nationals, just like even though they have 4 rounds, that's a start. That you got to start somewhere, and I think it's really good for them to be a part of that. That's really cool.
Yeah, and it's good racing too. Like it's you know, like it. I don't just watch it because you know, like I love. It's cool. You know, a lot of the time it's better than the boys' race. There's probably only there's about 6 or 8 girls that are really fast, and then there's usually there'll be some girls just from that state that will be you know having a crack and that sort of thing as well, which is awesome. So that's really spreads out. There's a lot of lapping and a lot of difference in speed. But man, especially those sort of front 3 or 4 girls, like they go hard at it. Like there's one girl, Charlie Cannon, who like she pretty much wins every race. She's extremely good. You know, I really thought she was going to go to America this year. I reckon she will be there soon. Like you know, because she's really the one to beat here. And but there's a couple other girls who are really good starters. They're a bit better starters than her. So those first couple of laps while she's trying to get by them, like it's a fight. You know, it's really good. then she usually clears out. But then the battles for second and third, and that'll be just they'll be on, and it varies and that. So it's yeah, it is. It's really cool. They're at the next round at Murray Bridge, which is coming up soon, which I'm going to try. Me and my daughter will hopefully go and see if I have time. It's a bit of a drive, but yeah, cool. So after that, you got into a little bit of GNCCs.
Yep, I did. Again, I was trying to just run out my last 2 years of contract, but again, I didn't think I was done, but I was just done with moto. And at that time too, it was kind of already dying out a little bit. The push of everything kind of went a different way in the economy at the time, and um, I had won. That was my seventh championship that year, and I was like, you know what? I think I'm just ready to do a different pace of things, and I ended up, like I said, came over here to South Carolina. I rode for Randy Hawkins, the Yamaha Ampro team, and my first race I did, I won it. I was like, of course, like it had to be that, and it was in Florida. It was sand, so I was loving it. I always loved sand, just being from Florida, but it was just always my little deal. Me and Stan just, we did it. So, um, I I went to my first one. I actually didn't even have a big tank at first. I had to stop every single lap, and I don't know. It was just a whole new challenge. It was a whole new challenge. These girls were badass, and I just there's just something new to do. And of course, like I won my first one, so that hooked me. Of course, they had to hook me then. And but the first 5 rounds I always say are like the easiest rounds because they're more south. But the further north you go, the harder it gets, especially if you're shorter. Like the shorter people don't do as well, I feel like, when you go up north because you get the rocks, the roots, the rain. And sometimes you're just wondering, what are you even doing out there at times? There was a few times I was hating life. I was like, why did I choose this? And da da da. But again, I think it was just the challenge. And I found out too that I almost wish I would have dabbled in it a little bit more earlier because I learned a lot of stuff just bike wise and skill wise and thinking and looking, and you know what I mean. I wish that I could have did both to be able to cross train with it and apply one to the other if I needed. So, but yeah, I messed around with that for a bit. I did it for 2 years, and I almost wish I did it a little bit longer. But again, I wish I would have started it earlier. But it just became a time where I was done and ready to move on and try different things in life, but just normal stuff. But um, I really enjoyed the GNCC stuff. It was fun. At times I was pissed off about it, but again, it was a new challenge, and I enjoyed it.
Who were your rivals in the GNCCs at that time?
When I first went in, there was Casey Martinez. Um, oh crap, I can't even remember everybody's name. I know there was Becca Sheets, even Taylor Jones was over there at one point now and then. Um, Maria Forsberg, girls like that were actually like factory KTM riders and stuff. And KTM obviously in GNCC is big,
Mm.
like that. Like no matter what team, you're fighting an army when you're racing against KTM riders. You know what I mean? Because off road, like some people might not know, but off road is like what kind of fleet you can get put out in the woods to help you with the gnarly sections. You know what I mean? So I feel like KTM wise, they have such a gnarly following, and even employee wise that they send them wherever you need them, and it's a huge help for off road for sure. But we had actually a pretty stacked group, and of course me going in motocross wise, and I guess at if you think about it, I also had to learn to lose. I had to learn that it was okay to lose and to learn. And I think that was the hardest part also was being okay with that. I wasn't good with it, but um, again, I learned as I went through. I just accepted the challenge every time, and I just tried to be better at every one of them.
Yeah. Cool. Cool. Yeah. Yeah, Becca Sheets. Yeah. And Taylor Jones. Yeah. And they went on from that era to just win everything for like 10 years between them, didn't they? So yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Cool.
was pretty. I did enjoy it, but like I said, there was actually pretty. It's crazy. You would think, oh, 2 hours. 2 hours is a long time, but when you're racing and you're in the battles you're in, sometimes it goes by a lot quicker than you think, you know. And but again, I enjoyed it. I definitely came in with some stiff competition. Like I said, they had been in it for years, and even Becca Sheets won like right as I was done. Her next year was, I think, the first year she won, or that year, I can't remember, but um, it like she said, it took her like 6 years to really learn it and figure it all out. And I was 2 years in, and I'm like, why am I not winning every one? So again, I think that's just the competitive side, but those girls even in off road are gnarly. They're definitely, I learned my respect with them too.
Yeah, they certainly are. That Rachel Archer at the moment, like she's just a beast, isn't she? Like, wow, she's a machine, you know. But yeah, same again. Like it took her, 3 years, I think, maybe even four, to get to the top, and now she's killing it. But yeah, it started out with Randy, same as you did. Yeah, so very cool, very cool. You also did a bit of Endurocross.
I wouldn't say I did Endurocross. I was just there and a part of it. Man, again, Endurocross is gnarly. I even had a full on Endurocross track built at Randy's property where we trained, and um, I I don't know. I just don't even. I can't even explain it. It's gnarly. Like you can build. I don't care what track you build or where you go or what you do, but when you get to the actual race, I swear they build it to where they're trying to kill you or the bike, one or the other. I mean, the courses are gnarly. When you get there, it's crazy. Like I was all confident. I was like, wow, okay, I'm actually figuring it out. And again, I'd never done anything like that before ever. And I was starting to figure it out because I was like, again, I'm all in. So I'm like, if I'm gonna do this, I'm building the track, I'm getting everything ready. Like I'm gonna not go out there and look like a complete idiot, which that's what I thought. But um, yeah, it's gnarly. And again, I don't think it's for the short people. It's a lot more challenging when you go to put the leg down and your leg's not long enough, and you keep going further down and you fall over. Uh, and But I did try it. I did. I think I did two different ones. Um, I did one that was in California, I believe, or Vegas. I can't remember which one it was. I just remember, what am I doing? And but again, it was something different, and it's Endurocross is gnarly. That's gnarly.
Yeah, it sure is. And what you're saying about the long legs, like yeah, like motos for all sizes, off road and enduro cross. There is a definite advantage to tall people. Tall people don't believe that. They think, oh no, they think they have it hard, but there's no way. Like I'm not real short, but I think I have short legs. Like I am 5'10", but I think my legs are like the length of someone who's like 5'6". I think I've got a long torso or something like, because I can't get my leg, I'm one of those ones where, I've crashed so many times off road, and the only reason I've crashed is because I've stalled, or I've had someone crash in front of me and I can't get my leg to the ground. So many times, and it wastes so much energy. Then you roll down a hill, you pick the bike back up, and I was like, if I had longer legs, I'm just sitting there waiting or restarting my bike. It's and I've joked with friends who are also have the same trouble. I've been involved in running off-road races before and setting out tracks and that sort of thing. So I'd love to set out a track one day that is specifically designed to help short people. So where you've got to go under things, underneath things, and you've got to super deep ruts where the tall guys can't get their leg up, and all this sort of thing, like just to make it good for the short people. I reckon that'd be that just a bit of payback, because there's nothing. It drives me crazy sometimes where you'll see these tall guys and they just pop their leg down and spin the bike around. And I was like, yeah, cool, mate. If I needed to do that, I'm rolling down the hill and cartwheeling and picking my bike up and straightening out my levers and so yeah, and you look at all the hard enduro guys, like they all got long legs, or there's a couple of them that don't, but for the most part, like Manny and Billy Bolt and all those guys, like it's like Cody Webb, it's like go gadget legs, they're just it's yeah.
Yeah, I know that firsthand. That's for sure. I've experienced all those you're saying, so I'd be down with the short race.
Yeah, I reckon it's a good idea. Yeah, cool. Jessica, who were your childhood heroes? So who were you looking up to? Whether either moto or just in general.
Um, I think obviously at first, Ricky was a big influence for me just because of where he was and what he came from and being my neighbor pretty much. So um, I think, he was one of them. And um, just my dad being just a hard worker, and doing what he did. And one guy I really liked too was Guy Cooper. I don't know, just something about him and Kevin Windham at the time and Bradshaw. Like those were my guys I loved watching. I think back in the day, my dad took me to a national and went at Gatorback Cycle Park in Florida, and they actually had one of the the men's nationals there, and Guy Cooper was there, Bradshaw, and those guys, and I was just like, wow. I think it was just a mixture of all of them. I liked Bradshaw's like badass attitude and Kevin's just flawless ride, and then Cooper, Guy Cooper's just cool, this cool guy. You know what I mean? So they all had a little bit of everything, but those were the guys, and I just kind of just admired them. I guess I just took a little bit from each one of them.
Yeah. Did you ever look at like Mercedes Gonzalez and any of the women from back in the day?
Or honestly, like when I first even started, the biggest people like was that Christy Sheila and Dee Wood because they were badass chicks. They were the ones to beat. And again, I was super young, and that was where the girls. And then as I got a little bit older and understood, it was Mercedes Gonzalez. And actually, I had a point in time where her and I became pretty good friends, and even got to ride together and do Team Green stuff together. That was the time when I would go out in California and stuff. And um, Mercedes was a definitely she put a lot of things into perspective for me and kind of showed me the ropes again. I was 16 at the time, and she really showed me the ropes of what to expect, how to do things. And she was a grinder too. She worked hard. And another girl lady like later on that I kind of learned about was Lisa Aiken Wagner, and she I think too I kind of liked her because she was on the shorter side, and she was a little bit of the smaller one. But I mean those girls back then, that was I looked up to them also. But I didn't want it to sound bad, but it's like riding wise, I always looked at like the guys, like how I wanted to be is like the guy riding. And then the girls, obviously, when I met Mercedes and stuff like that, I had a lot of respect. I still do have a lot of respect for her, as just how she kind of almost took me under her wing and said, okay, this is what you got to do. You got to expect this. And again, I was 16, so she kind of taught me a lot about just racing and racing as a woman. So.
Yeah, it's interesting what you say. Like on some of the, the fastest girls in Australia, they they ride. They're riding more like they look like boys on the bike. Like Charlie, you've got to try and spot the ponytail.
Yeah.
Because you can't tell, like, because she jumps in and races the boys national sometimes. She'll jump in and race MX2, and she'll be sort of 15 to 20 in MX2, and but she'll get good starts, of course. And once she's sort of back in the pack a bit, because like my daughter will be like, "Oh, where's Charlie? How's Charlie going?" I was like, "I can't find her," and you're looking for the ponytail flapping out, and then a couple of the boys have got long blonde hair too. So it's like, "Oh no, hang on, no, you got to find the right." And then she uses a different nut because she's always number one. And then I think when she races the boys, she's 17 or something. Then you forget what number she is, and you can't even find her out there. And Emma races the boys sometimes too. And yeah, like you can't tell, And whereas some of whereas the girls further back in the pack, yeah, you can tell the riding style is just a little different. So it's an interesting thing that, yeah. And good, like I love your like Guy Cooper, Wyndham and Bradshaw, like that's some good ones there. Like Guy Cooper, just awesome. Just so many, like if anyone that's young is I know I've got some younger people that watch the show and listen to the show. Look up Guy Cooper videos and photos. Do yourself a favour. Like it won't disappoint. That's for sure. He was one of a kind. Yeah, just full send, and
Yeah.
he could he would crash, but he would just, yeah. They were just talking about how Deegan lands like a cat and just gets back up. Guy Cooper was like that. He would just have this monumental crash and just bounce up and just like a cat. It was so good. And then I mean, K Dub, what can you say? I mean, everyone loves K Dub. He's one of everyone's favourites, and Bradshaw. I didn't like Bradshaw back in the day because I was a Honda guy. I was I was a Stanton fan. A Johnson and then a Stanton fan, and so Bradshaw was like the enemy. But nowadays I love Bradshaw. When you're a kid, there's a lot of riders that were they were like the enemy, like Fro, because I was a Jeremy guy. Fro was like the enemy. And I love Fro now. Like I had him on the show a while ago. He's just an awesome dude and that sort of thing. And yeah, nowadays I just sort of I like everyone. It's not that you don't have that when you're a young bloke. There's always a hero and a villain. So, but Bradshaw just amazing. Like I talk about Bradshaw to younger people because a lot of young ones they'll look at, and because that's all they have to look at a lot of the time, they look at statistics to talk about who was great and all that sort of thing. And there's a question comes up, sometimes who's the greatest one that didn't win and all that sort of thing. And their younger people will be throwing names around, and I'll be just like, hang on, like the greatest rider to not win a premier title, it's Bradshaw by miles, by it's just like ridiculous. It was like if Jet hadn't started winning 450s. That's what it was
Right.
like. Yeah, back in the day, like Bradshaw was like Jet in the 125 class, and then yeah, the fact that he didn't go on to win 250 titles was just, yeah, you just would never have believed it. So yeah, that he is just amazing. That guy, absolutely amazing. Yeah, cool. Just got a few other sort of different funny questions that we do towards the end of the show. What do we got? What scares you? You're a tough chick. What scares you? There must be something.
Well, honestly, now, I'm a mom now, so I have a 5-year-old and he scares me daily. So, um, he is a replica of me for sure. Wants to do everything that is dangerous enough to really be questionable if he's going to live or not. But um, He is what scares me. He is just always on the edge, wanting to do something dangerous. So that's my daily scares is him.
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, I can't imagine because my kids take after both my kids take after their mum. They don't take after their dad. So they're not yeah, they're not daredevils by any stretch. So I don't know the feeling of that. But yeah, I don't think I'd like it because like I remember my dad saying when to me when I was a young dad, he said, "You'll never stop worrying about your kids," which is true. Like everything changes. How many kids do you have, Jessica?
One, just one. I got one boy. He's 5 years old now. But um, like I said, it's funny how people go, he's a daredevil. It's like he's built for speed because, and I say, you know what's weird is ever since he was literally old enough to hold himself up, and I could put him on a bike and he can hold on, and we were just driving around. It'd be like the faster you go, the more and harder he laughs. And he literally is still that way. Like he can ride and he does all kinds of things now himself, but it's like he'll still want to get on a bike or something that is fast enough, and he wants it to be wide open. And the faster he goes, he just dies laughing. He thinks it's the funniest thing. But like I said, it scares me because he's like, "Let me do it." I'm like, "No, no, you can't do it." He just wants to be open.
Did Eddie? I know, obviously, yeah. I guess just in case anyone doesn't know, so Eddie, Jessica's husband, he was your longtime mechanic also. But he raced a bit back in the day before he became a mechanic.
Oh yeah, he actually raced his whole life. Also, he raced for years, and then we actually met into that. Actually, met in 1999. Actually, we met, and then in 2000 we started dating, and then at a certain point, that's when him and I just started traveling together. Later on, and then in actually 2003, he won Loretta's. He won Loretta's in the four-stroke class. So um, he raced before. He was semi into it, would train or whatever, but not like for real. And then, like I said, we met, and he's like, if she's gonna work hard, I guess I am too. And he really started to put a lot of effort into it, and so um, him and I would start training together. And yeah, he ended up started working on my bikes and stuff too. But he also at one point he worked for Dunlop for like 5 years. And then in between Dunlop too, he would actually race Supercross on the weekends. Also, Supercross, he would make it to the night shows, but then never wanted to make it into the night show because then he couldn't do Loretta's at the time. So it's like if you made it into the night show, you're considered pro, so you couldn't race Loretta. So he would just do it enough to make the money, the night show money that you would get, still work for Dunlop, and then go to the next race. So he did that for a few years, and like I said, he won Loretta's in 2003. 2004, he lost to Michael Alessi in the last moto, and then after that, he still raced, but we just kind of got really, really focused, I guess, more so on me, on myself, and he still raced. We still raced together, but he didn't take it as like, okay, I need to go do this and this and this. We just kind of made it to where if I was going to race and I was going to be able to be in the positions I was in, that I was going to need a mechanic anyways, and why not hire somebody that I had already trusted and knew what I liked and knew what the program was. You know what I mean? So it just worked out that way.
Yeah, yeah. I can see it. Like I know Scott Meshy, which actually reminds me of something. But Scott Meshy, his wife's his mechanic, which is cool. And but I reckon and there's also a young fella, a young Japanese rider in Australia, Haruki Yokoyama, and his wife is his mechanic, which it's so cool. And but they, how you got to have that connection, that mechanic rider connection, where you also understand their emotions and their, you know, what pushes their buttons and when to yell at them, when to not talk to them, all those sort of things. So I can see how that would work so well with a couple doing that. And a little bit of experience even from myself. So my dirt bike racing stuff is just club events, just hack C grade stuff and that. My dad raced cars, and I got into that, even though my love was motorbikes, but I got into that because I wanted to do that with my dad. And that though I was actually pretty good at, but never stuck with that. But I remember when I first started dating my wife, I was all into the car stuff, and she would come to the races, and then eventually she just started like taking over shit, and she sort of became my main pit person. And she was so good at it because she just understood. Whereas me and Dad would like fight, like, you know, we would fight over stuff because he'd be all emotional and feisty, and I'd be just a little prick, on race day and that sort of thing. And whereas Susie would be just so organized, she'd be like, your next race is at such and such a time. You better get ready, do this. This was your times. This was someone else's times. Just like, have you had something to eat? Like she was just, it was just so organized because she knew what I needed. So yeah, it's a cool thing. Yeah, very cool. And back to the art when I first asked you about Eddie, it's no wonder that your little bloke is fast if it coming from two races. Like, it's well and truly in the blood, isn't it? Yeah.
I guess so. I really don't know. I got him a bike when he was 2 years old, and he didn't have like he liked it, he wanted it, but and my thing is for him is I just want him to have a bike and know how to ride because of what we have. We have all these tracks, and he's got so many buddies that it's like just ride bikes. And I'm not like we are doing this, we're doing this, like all these races. Like I'm not into it at all. Like I could care less. But I just wanted him to know how to ride. So if he wanted to ride with his buddies or do whatever, he knew what he was gonna do. It was how it was. But the kid he he decided about I was telling somebody today 1 year ago he decided he was actually going to ride and race like at a couple of our races. And it's like first time he went to a track was like 1 year other than what we've got. And he just went out there, and I'm just like, oh my god, I can't believe this is happening right now. I was like, I said I wasn't going to do this, and here I am like out here watching him. And I just stand there and I just watch him, and he'll ask, and I'll say, okay, just try this or that. And he does. It's kind of crazy, but he gets better and better every time. And again, I just kind of let it be. But I mean, he has a go-kart. He has his thing is he wants to race cars right now. He wants to be a dirt car racer. And again, I think that's where the big speed comes from. He's already done like a little flat track race. He did that on his P Dub, and he actually won that. That was like one of his races, and he was addicted to that because all he had to do was hold it wide open, and that's his thing. He thought that was the best thing ever. So um, what he will do, I don't ever know. But he is he's addicted to it, kind of almost like me. Loved anything if he could ride it, drive it, whatever. He was on. He's got a little side by side, and he knows like out in my field I have nice grass, and I'm like I tell the kids do not do burnouts and make my grass ugly. Like I want at least one part of my property to look pretty. And one day I come home and I see a full on oval out in the middle of my field. And I was like, what are you doing? I was like, I get on these kids all the time about tearing my field up. And now you have a full on racing oval in the middle of the field. And I was like, but I can't be that mad because it was so perfect. He literally made it so perfect. And I was just like, how did he do that? Like, how did he make it so perfect? And he looks at me, he goes, well, are you mad? And I was like, I just kind of laughed. I said, I'm not mad, but I mean, out of all the other, we got 90 acres. Out of all the other acres, you couldn't have done it somewhere else. But again, he's into anything that he can ride, drive, whatever it is. If it's speed, he's on it.
I love it. That's awesome. I love it. Yeah. So yeah, when I mentioned Scott Meshy before, that reminded me of I've got to do a guts racing ad read. Now, I reckon it ties in a little bit because the race that you just had on, I see that young Evan Blair went 1-1, and
Yeah,
yeah, and on his Husqvarna, or it might even be Dad's Husqvarna, with and that is a factory edition, so that will have a guts seat on it.
yeah,
So there you go, Evan Blair out there getting his first win with a guts seat, just like RJ Hampshire and Kenny Roxon and the winning Supercrosses this year. RJ winning the title. Also, Kyder Wolf and Lucas Coonan winning GPs on gut seats. Jed Beaton recently just won the Manjim Up 15,000 down here on a gut seat. You can get seat covers, of course. You can get complete seats. You can get custom seats with a seat bump. The old seat bump is making a bit of a comeback. You're seeing more and more of them around. You can get the ultralight seat foam, the wide wing seat if you need a little bit more grip around the knees. There's a huge range of colors. You go on the website, choose your colors. You can choose the ballistic material if you are running knee braces and you are tearing the sides of your seat up. You can get that as well. You can get tall seats if you're one of these tall riders we were complaining about before. You can also even get a Velcro fitment seat if you don't want to tackle the fitting with a staple gun. And on the fitting, when you get your gut seat, it comes with a QR code that will take you to a video where you'll probably see Andy Gregg himself there showing you how to install that seat cover. So that is pretty cool. And as privateer hero Scott Meshy said on the show, they are a butt gripper and they will make you a ripper. So
yeah.
there you go. Gutsracing.com is the website. That's a really easy one to remember. Gutsracing.com. And we are having a guts racing competition at the moment to win a seat cover. So the competition is open to veterans. So if you are a veteran who rides, or you are a veteran whose kids ride, all you need to do is you can email me, AussieSteve569@gmail.com, or you can hit me up on socials, on Instagram. I reckon if you're watching the show here, you probably follow me on Insta anyway. And I just want a little bit of a story about your military life and your moto life. Just a brief on your military life. No need for too much detail there. But tell me about moto, why you love it, why you love riding, why you love watching your kids ride, and a little bit about your moto life. And the entries are going to go to my friends Cody and Felipe. They were the two gentlemen who helped me out on the military appreciation show that we did. And they're going to choose a winner, whoever, I guess, tugs at their heartstrings with their story of military and moto. And we'll get you out a guts seat cover for your bike or your kid's bike. So get around that. And once again, gutsracing.com is the website. Cool. And how cool was Evan Blair? Hey, that was pretty cool.
That was it. Just a little topper for that. Guts actually still to this day helps me out. Gets my kids some seat covers, and they are grippers. They're really good grippers. They're some of the best seat covers around, that's for sure. So I appreciate them still even helping out the old people. Needing some supplies here and there for their kids. Those guys are really cool over there. But yeah, they Evan kind of surprised us, actually. I mean, he's been wishy-washy about this whole racing deal, and we give him such a hard time. We give him such a hard time, and uh, he's like, "This year I'm racing the summer school series, and I'm doing the full thing." And we're like, "No, you're not. You're such a sissy." Like, we just give him crap, like total crap, and he actually, yeah, he did work last night. I was honestly super shocked, and I was really surprised by how strong he was, just even mentally about it. Just knowing from where he was last year at this point to now of how much just stronger he got with it. It was good. It was really cool. And even one of your guys, little Jack Nunn, was there. Jack actually lives here now, so at the facility. So Jack was there. His little brother Rusty. They were ripping it up, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah, Jack's a ripper kid. Yeah, I had Jack and his dad on the show there. Just just before their first trip to the States. And
Yeah.
talking about, I've got to get him back on. I might try and get him back on after Loretta's just for a bit of an update on how that US life is going. But such a good kid, like like he is. He's got an old head on him, hasn't he, Jack? Like he is like so mature and just switched on, that kid. Like it blew me away a couple of times when I was interviewing him. I was just like, wow, did you just like, the way he spoke and how switched on he was, just, yeah, he's going places, that boy. Yeah, I'm a fan. Yeah.
We're actually giving the dad last night a little bit of crap because Rusty just kind of got a 65 over here now. And we said, you watch, old Rusty, he's going to be the sleeper like Jet. He's going to end up passing Jack here soon. And so we were just laughing about it. But the whole family, it's been nice to have them over here and uh, just working with Jack. He's super strong willed. Um, he wants to learn, and you could tell, like, he's not scared to ask questions. He's not scared to try different things. He's not scared to stay a little bit longer or do a section a little bit longer. We've done different little things to see if this or that helps, and so it's been fun. It's been fun to work with him, and I enjoy his. I think it's just his effort that I really get. Like, I enjoy working with those guys. They've just been hard working and whatnot, and just kind of reminded me of myself. So it's been enjoyable to work with him. And right now it's yeah, he's gonna do Loretta's on the 85, but we're just hoping he doesn't grow too much more because I swear he's growing daily. He's getting taller and taller. So I'm telling him he's got to slow down with them long legs and wait. But he's looking forward to it, and he actually just left a little while ago. He's going to another race this weekend. So
Yeah, I'll have to get back in contact with him. Yeah, he's yeah, he's a good kid. Right, what other skills do you have? So, do you have any other skills that are outside moto and that? Like, do you like play an instrument or anything sort of, different stuff like that? That's outside moto.
no, I can't do anything, honestly. I, I guess I was just made to teach because I really can't do anything. I guess my other only talent would be teaching. So get people say that you're, I'm pretty decent with it and enjoy it. So I guess that would be the only other skill I actually have.
Sorry, you just broke up a bit. Then what was the other skill?
Oh, just teaching, just giving the kids lessons and having an eye for it because I really don't have any other skills. No skill really. I mean, I can't do too much. I guess I was just made for racing.
What is the skill that you'd like to have then?
Honestly, I wouldn't mind to play an instrument. I really like music. I like music a lot, and I wish I did tell my parents at one point. It's like I wish I could play a guitar or drums or something. And my mom's like, yeah, when we went to Palm Reader when you're a baby, they said that you would be something about musical or whatever. So they said that before I was born, I'd probably be something musical or whatever. And I didn't know that till after I'd asked my parents about it. Obviously, I didn't become a musical person, but I really do like music. And one thing like I said, I always wanted to learn was the guitar or the drums or something like that. But I never had a chance to because I never had time. Racing kind of took over, and I put all my effort into that.
Yeah. Oh, it's never too late though. You might be able to, yeah, still do it. I've known of people that didn't start, learning a musical instrument until like their 50s and 60s. And, that
I
because when they're retired and then they've picked it up and actually become quite good at it late in life. Yeah.
have to wait till I'm like 60 or 70 at this point with the way my life is. By the time I'm done with whatever happens daily around here, the last thing I want to do is anything. I just want to go to bed, get a couple hours of sleep. But no, I you never know. I might learn something later on.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, guitar's always been mine. I did try when I was younger, but I don't know whether it was lack of skill or lack of patience or both or whatever, but I think mostly lack of skill. Um, for the guitar, but that's something, like I love singing. Like I'm always singing, and I love singing, so I just love to be able to play the guitar as well. So that'd be good fun. And my daughter's learning guitar now. I might try it later in life when I've got time to, and that sort of thing. You say you love music. What fun question I have is, so if you could time travel to see a concert or see a band at a gig in the past, where are you going?
Oh, in the past, so like an older one, an older band.
Oh, you could even time travel just a few years ago, whatever. But yeah, or you can go way back. You could go way back and see Elvis, or you can go back and see the Rolling Stones, or like anything, whatever you wanted to go back and see, and where, like an iconic concert, or like mine, for instance, is, I mean, I've got, there's lots, but I'd like to go and see Alice in Chains, just before they were famous, just at some grubby bar in Seattle. That would be my thing, rather than a big concert. There's a lot of people say they'd go to Live Aid at Wembley and see Queen, and that's a pretty popular answer to it, and obviously, like, or go back and see the Beatles and Elvis and that. But yeah, what is it for
Yeah.
you?
I again, I like so many different ones. I really wouldn't know. I think it would be cool, like if I could travel because my grandmother was such a big Elvis fan. I wish I could travel with her to go somewhere out of the country to see Elvis. Like that would be pretty cool. And just to experience it with her because she was such a big fan. But one thing that I've wanted to do, and I think just because, um, you know, from racing and being in the positions I was with, knowing Carrie Hart and meeting, Alicia Pink, whatever. I I still to this day, and we talk about it. We're like, we're gonna go to Vegas or we're gonna go somewhere to Paris or something and go and see her in concert, but we've never done it. Like we always like, okay, we're gonna do it, and then something comes up. I would like to eventually do is something like that with again, it's not anything old, but um I don't know. She's just a really rad chick, and she has some really cool concerts. And I've been to a couple too that we've been just because you said like ratty old bars. Like we've been to a couple No Effects and stuff like that. Concerts, they're pretty wild, but they're sometimes at these ratty old bars. But it
Mm.
was really, really cool to go and see those guys there. So even the strung out guys, Jordan, like those guys are always at these like dive bars, I want to call them. So it's pretty cool to go to those too.
Yeah, cool. I like it. Do you still so what are your do you still have any sort of goals as far as riding goes, Do you have any goals, things that you'd like to do, even if it's just riding, traveling to ride somewhere as a one-off thing or anything like that?
Yeah, I've there's a Costa Rica ride that I see that looks really cool. I think just because of the water. It's kind of like a trail ride type deal. I think that would be cool. I've always wanted to go over and ride in Hawaii and try, again, I think I'm kind of a water girl, so like I'm down with being able to be in the water but have some fun at the same time. And um I don't know, I've actually raced over in St. Martin before, and we were literally riding right beside the ocean, so that was super cool. And I really enjoyed riding over there, and it just gives you an eye opener and realize like how good we really have it over here too, just meaning track condition wise. And I've even been over to Australia and raced a few times, and it's just different. It's definitely different, but I think if it was something just for fun, that's what I would do. And the recently I said to Eddie, I said, hey, because I give kids all my stuff all the time. I said, hey, I need to ask Alex for my boots bag just in case um, I want to ride. And he's like, well, what are you going to ride for? And I haven't ridden in like 3 years. I've just been so busy and whatever. And I was like, well, I just need them back just in case. And he goes, well, when are you going to ride? And I said, maybe in November. And he's like, well, why do you have November? Like, why such a specific date? And I just said, well, I don't know. I might do some indoor stuff because around here we have a lot of indoor races during that time of year. And that's what my kid knocks. He says that he is a supercross arena cross specialist. So I'm like, okay, perfect, whatever. That's fine with me. And I was like, well, if Knox wants to race them, and I don't know, I'm starting to get a little bit of an itch. I was like,
Nice.
maybe I'll gear up and ride with him. So
Yeah.
that's been the latest talk about riding so far has been that. So
Nice. I can feel a comeback happening here.
I don't know.
So-
I don't know about a comeback. I don't know about that.
yeah. Oh, awesome. It's good. Yeah, it's good. Yeah. Okay, my next question was, do you still love riding? So that was you sort of answered that. You're getting
So
the itch to get back into
the
it.
thing the thing is like I still love it. I'm around it. You gotta remember, I'm around it at least 5 days a week. 5 days a week, I'm still around dirt bikes. There's times I don't even want to look at them for whatever it may be, but I might not physically ride a real dirt bike, but I am on a pit bike every day too. Like I ride that pit bike from the time we get up in the morning to go and literally all day, and I'll rip on the track. I'll ride it. I may not be fully geared. I may not be on a real bike, but I'm ripping a bike almost all day. And we actually have a on Tuesdays and Thursdays we have an afternoon class that a lot of kids or people that have to work or whatever, they want to do training or even ride, um, but don't really get the chance to come full time or whatever it may be. So they come in those afternoons. We do it from 5 to 7 o'clock in the afternoon, and we get a lot of kids come and do that, and that's one of my funnest groups is teaching those kids. And I'll get on that pit bike and I'll try to race every one of those kids too.
Nice. Nice. Yeah.
They,
So you're still riding. You're still riding. That counts.
yeah,
Yeah. That counts.
yeah. So
Absolutely.
I do enjoy that. I still have fun, and I like to give them crap, or even if they may be a little bit faster, I'll try to cut the track and give them hell for a second and like cut them off or whatever it may be. So I still love it. I just don't physically get dressed and put laps in all the time. So
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. It's good. It's good to hear. Good to hear. One last just fun question before, and then there's just a couple of things to do to close out the show. Um, what's your spirit animal?
shoot. Honestly, like I would want to be something like a sloth because I would want to be something completely opposite of what I do now. Just something super chill, lazy as can be, and no fast times to do it.
Nice one. That's a different one. That's a different one to most people. So yeah, I like it. You get some fun answers out of that question. It's good. Some people look at me like, what the hell are you talking about, spirit animal? So, but most people get it, and you get some funny answers. Yeah,
Yeah.
cool. Couple of things I do to close out the show. One, I always ask the US guests to give me your best Aussie accent. So
Oh shoot.
give me your best Jack Nunn impersonation. There you go.
Oh no. Uh, Jack has. I think I've given him so much crap he hasn't been able because, we actually have a couple. One of my best friends is Australian, Mackenzie Tricker. I don't know if you know
Oh
her or not,
yeah,
but
yeah. Oh, I don't know
she,
her, but I know of her. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So she's one of my best friends. She actually came over here and raced and
Mm.
stuff all the time. So, well, even the other day I was giving Mick a thing. I asked him about an easy up, and he's like looking. I'm like, oh, quick shade, mate. I'm like, oh, give me a quick shade, because he's like, oh, I'm like, what? Why do you like? We just give him more. Hey, good. I made Jack do something the other day because he's really about throwing stuff away. So I'm like, Jack, throw this thing in the bin. You like to try to relate to him, like throw it in the bin. It's whatever you got to do. I'm like, oh mate, come on, mate. Like I just mock him all the time. Oh mate, come on. Like I just give him crap all the time. But Mackenzie's one of my good friends, and when she first even came over here, like her and I, so many things. Like that's why I've even been over to Australia. One time I went over there for 3 weeks just to even hang out, to just kind of do whatever with her. So I'm just like, I don't even know how y'all deal with the stuff y'all deal with and say the things y'all say. And I'm like, what does that mean? But now, like being friends with her for so long, I kind of get it now.
You
You
get
know?
used to the differences. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm very good because a lot of American friends, and I'm very good at, I sort of I can switch on the American a little bit as far as the words I use, like voice doesn't change, but just the words I use, I sort of, it's almost
Yeah.
almost automatic. And then it's funny. It's funny sometimes. Here's an example. Just last night. I sometimes I'll be talking or messaging with American friends and that, and then I'll say something that's very American to my family, and they'll sort of look at me like. And just last night, so we just got some new
Oh,
chickens, and I want to name the chickens because I never get to name the animals. And so there's this bit of a fight because my son wants to name them and I want to name them, and then other people want to. We've got a friend that wants to name one and all this sort of thing. And I said to him, I said, Dad's getting a bit butt hurt that he doesn't never get to name these animals. And they
they're
looked at me like, you getting what? And I'm like, I said, that's an American thing.
yeah.
I'm trying to explain butt hurt to him. And then I said, okay, Dad's got the shits up that he doesn't get to
Yeah.
name these animals. So I said, so the shits up is butt hurt. That's
Yeah.
that's it. I got the shits up with this. Why don't I get to name the pets? So yeah, there you go. It's a funny thing. Yeah,
Yeah, I was telling Jack, or we were doing something. I was like, "Oh, piss off, mate!" Like, because that's what y'all say is like piss off all the
yeah,
time. Like, "Oh, piss off, mate." So, but it was funny too. Like they're trying to talk, and they like y'all don't say ours. Like I don't know. His dad was saying something about. I was just dying because he was trying to like. Claire was like, "You got to use your tongue more and pronounce your R's better so that they understand what you're saying." It's
yeah,
just funny, but it's funny how y'all just relate to one thing opposed to what we do. But I catch myself saying random stuff like, "Oh, the bin," or just flat out or something like that. That
yeah.
typically we don't say, and they look or like usually everything's so huge, but I just always say massive and just little stuff like that.
Yeah, it's funny the little things. Yeah, and then you would have come across where you get a bunch of Aussies. You get a bunch of Aussies that are drinking, and we start talking really fast. You would have come across that. Yeah,
Yes,
that's the
yes.
one where like yeah, we get faster and faster. And then when you drink too much, you get slower, of course. But when you've had a few
Uh,
drinks, we get faster and faster and
I
talking over the
can't
top of each other. And
I
yeah.
can't say that they haven't pressured me into a shoey before either.
Yeah, I'll bet. Yeah, yeah. It's a funny thing. Like I've had, yeah, it's funny. Like most of the time, obviously I do a show talking to Americans, but then every now and again I'll talk to an American and they just fucking lost. Like it's like they've never heard an Aussie accent in their life, and they are fucking lost, and they can't
Yeah.
understand anything. Like when I visited the States there in January, I did real well. I didn't have too much trouble, except for one night there. I got to where was I? I got to Marietta, I think, pretty late, and I was like, because I was just winging it, traveling around, and I found a place to stay, and I was like, oh, got to get something easy to eat, and there was a pizza place, so I go in there, and I wasn't sure the sizes of the pizzas threw me a bit, and I'm trying to ask this guy like,
Like,
what size are your pizzas? What size are they? Because in a pizza shop in Australia, that they often have the sizes on the wall. They'll have like plates on the wall,
Yeah.
small, medium, large, family, and I'm like, I don't want to get one that's, I want like the equivalent of an Aussie large.
Yeah.
And I'm trying, and this young fella couldn't understand anything. There was just nothing. And so I pointed at the pizzas in the rack and I said, "What size are those?" And he goes, "Oh, you want a pepperoni?" And I just said, "Yes, yes." I just grabbed that first one he grabbed.
Yeah.
Lucky I'm not fussy. But yeah, he had no idea what I was saying. And there's been a couple other times where I've had a lot of trouble with that. But it's I think it's probably maybe people who haven't come across an Aussie before or something.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
definitely.
Cool. And no worries. And the last thing I do to close out the show is so I said I like singing. I sing a bit of Kenny Rogers. There's a funny backstory to it that I won't bore you with. But yeah, the outro for the show is a bit of Kenny Rogers, the Gambler. And I always say to people, if you know the words, you're welcome to join in. But there's certainly no pressure, mate. Certainly no pressure. So I'll just I'll ease into that outro.
Okay.
So I handed him my bottle, and he drank down my last swallow. Then he bummed a cigarette and asked me for a light. And the night got deathly quiet, and his face lost all expression. Said, if you're gonna play the game, boy, you gotta learn to play it right. You got to know when to hold 'em, know when
No,
to fold 'em,
told him.
know when to walk away, know when to run. You never count your money. When you're sitting at the table, there'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done. JP Money. JP Money, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much for being our first lady on the show. It's been
Yep.
good fun, and yeah, good luck with the comeback, and
Yeah.
and good luck with keeping up with everything at Next Level 101. I hope to get over there one day. Obviously, getting to the east coast of the states is a bigger deal for Aussies than just getting to California, So,
Yeah,
but yeah,
I know.
I'd love to get over there one day and check out that neck of the woods and yeah, check out maybe do a couple of real slow laps around your track there. So that'd be cool.
Yeah, you'll be welcome. I know it is a long flight. It that makes it for an extremely long day, but it would be worth it. And yeah, make a trip over, and we've got a few little tracks you can test out, and we'd love to have you.
Cheers. All right. Thanks, mate. Thank you very much for being on the show.
All right, thank you.
No worries. Cheers. See ya.